Now, the Association for Black and Minority Ethnic Engineers in the UK, AFBE, celebrates its 10th year anniversary with a gala event in London to recognise the impact minority engineers have made on the engineering landscape in the UK. With its female chair, the association has already broken boundaries in an industry in which women and ethnic minorities are underrepresented. The association promotes higher achievements in education and engineering careers among people from black and ethnic minority backgrounds across the United Kingdom. It also promotes diversity through programs and activities which are led by exceptional professionals in the engineering industry, designed to bring about meaningful change, sustainable growth and a lasting positive impact to the UK. Since its launch in 2007, AFBE UK's outreach programs have reached over 6,000 black and ethnic minority individuals across the UK, offering networking, mentoring and educational opportunities, as well as access to jobs across the country. Well, Nike Folayan is chair of the Association for Black and Minority Ethnic Engineers in the UK, and she joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Tell us, first of all, about some of the achievements of black and ethnic minority engineers in the UK, because you never quite see that, do you? I mean, but they are obviously taking part in engineering projects here.
Absolutely. There are lots of ethnic minority engineers working on some of the biggest projects across the UK. There are lots of us working in transportation, so when you hear about HS2, when you hear about Crossrail, and even the recently opened London Bridge Station, I personally have worked on all of those. And it's not just me, there's a range of engineers from ethnic minority backgrounds doing exceptional work across the UK.
And if I might just ask, what branch of engineering are you sort of specialised in?
Yeah, I'm an electronics engineer, so electronics and electrical engineer by background, yes.
Now, the UK has a long-standing history, as we mentioned, their engineering achievements that are the marvels of the world. I mean, why are black and ethnic minorities underrepresented in this sector?
It's a very interesting question because I think it roots from a sense of belonging. So a lot of people from ethnic minority backgrounds across the UK don't have or feel the sense of belonging in engineering.
Right.
And so it's not seen as the profession of choice. Medicine, maybe arts and media is probably more closer to home, but engineering is still seen as the outsider.
And why is that? I mean,
I think it's just the cultural issue and a lack of understanding that we have a heritage in engineering across Africa, and that's where it stems from.
So it's not that the engineering sector is saturated with too many qualified people. It's not sort of.
It is partly that. You see, 25% of the engineering graduates in the UK are from ethnic minority backgrounds. So we have the pipeline, and what has happened between that and the people in the industry is the real challenge, because only 6% of us in the industry are of ethnic minority origin, and so that's one of the things that the association is trying to modify, change.
And that was my next logical question. I mean, what is your association, the Black and Minority Ethnic Engineers, doing about this?
We have a range of programs, and what we do is we cover the whole life cycle from primary school to university and professional level, and we have various programs that cater to the different challenges that we have. One in particular is transition, which is the transition from university student to the world of work, and we provide a number of programs such as mock interviews, assessment centres, mentoring opportunities, just to help people from that background seeking to work in the industry an opportunity to understand what's required.
And of course the key thing about engineering is that you've got to keep working on a project, don't you, to keep yourself well oiled, if you like, in the profession. Because once you stop, I mean, that's it. You're not getting the experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an industry that you keep. There's a continuous professional development, and you have to keep going.
And are there actually a lot of black and ethnic minorities who want to be engineers?
There are a lot. I mean, it's just by tradition. I think if we look at the world of creativity, a lot of people from ethnic minority origin can identify with creativity. I think it's translating creativity into engineering that is kind of where people kind of fall through the hole.
I attended a function recently which had a lot of engineers from the developing world,
Yes.
and they talked about being consistently ignored by their governments,
Yes.
and that was forcing many of them to get into politics and get into advocacy and that sort of thing. I mean, do you find something similar in the UK here?
We have a lot of people that champion promotion of underrepresented groups in engineering in Parliament. And we have an event actually coming up related to that, engineering and politics, because here in the UK, a lot of engineers don't see themselves as moving on to politics.
Well, it's not just in the UK.
So it is a challenge, and I totally understand the challenge of feeling like the outsider, because a lot of engineers and the engineering industry itself, we're trying to rebrand because we feel like we're the outsiders. It's not the most attractive profession to a lot of people, but there's just so much involved that people don't realise that it is actually quite attractive.
But it's very interesting that engineering underscores everything, doesn't it? I mean, the fact that I'm able to talk to you in the studio is engineering.
Absolutely.
You know, the fact that development takes place, when you talk about development and technology and all of that, it's all engineering, but for some reason, politicians don't seem to recognize the importance of it. And in many cases, you don't have engineers coming into the planning of project stage. It's only after the decision's been made that they're then called in.
Absolutely. This is partly the challenge, and this is why a lot of our projects, even here in the UK, cost a lot more money than they should have cost, because the engineers are kind of seen as an add-on once it's planned.
So tell us about this gala event then that you're going to be having. It's aimed at celebrating what your association has achieved in the last 10 years.
Yes. No, I'm quite looking forward to the gala event. I mean, it's a celebration of an organisation that started with an idea, but myself and my brother just having a discussion about the issue around the community, social issues, and the lack of representation of people from ethnic minority origin. And so, you know, we've grown from there. We've got chapters in Scotland, and we've got chapters in Nottingham as well. And it's just celebrating the people that have come through our programmes, now working as engineers in industry, and just celebrating what we've been able to achieve. We have Tommy Luby, who's Power List #1, who's going to be giving us the keynote address. So quite looking forward to it, really.
And I understand, of course, also that your association is very keen to make sure that women are given opportunities to succeed in engineering. You are, of course, chair.
Yes.
And you're at the helm of that organisation. Are things changing in that direction?
Slowly, very, very slowly. I recently attended a conference put together by the Institution for Engineering and Technology, because we only have 9% of the industry as women, even though we're 51% of the population. So that's an issue that we're very passionate about. That's an issue that we're working towards with the different organisations to promote and increase, but it's very slow.
You think people just don't imagine seeing women sort of working in tunnels and things like that with hard hats and
Absolutely. I've worked on most of the tunnels. I've worked on the Blackwall Tunnel, Dartford Tunnel, you know, Hindhead Tunnel, and I'm working on some projects in Stonehenge as well, tunnels.
So that's interesting. What are you working on in Stonehenge?
So there is a tunnel, a newly built, a proposal to build a tunnel. I think still in the proposal stage. So we're working towards looking at the design and how we can use telecommunications, make sure there's coverage, radio coverage within the tunnels.
Right. So what is the date for this event that you're having again?
It's on the 2nd of November, from 6:30.
And that's in London here?
Yes, Savoy Place, the IET Savoy Place.
Right. So what is it that you would most want to see happen? I mean, the obvious ones, obviously, you want to see more ethnic minorities, more women, and so on and so forth. But what is it in engineering that you'd really like to see happen in the UK here?
I'd like to see a more inclusive industry. I'd like to see an industry that is has the variety and diversity of people with the skills and talent. And I personally believe that the ethnic minority community has that skill and talent, and we can bring something into the picture. And
have you considered sort of reaching out to other countries, like around the world, that has, you know, minority populations in the UK where they are the majority in those countries, and perhaps working with them Places like Nigeria, South Africa,
yes.
you know, all these, India and so on.
Yes, absolutely. We are. We currently. We recently did a project run by the Royal Academy of Engineering called the Africa Catalyst Project, and looking at how we can engage more women in Nigeria, Malawi, and Rwanda. And so we are actively looking at how we can work together and do a sort of knowledge transfer of our experiences with engaging people from ethnic minorities and transferring that knowledge to across Africa.
Well, we wish you all the very best.
Thank
Nike
you.
Folayan is the chair of the Association for Black and Minority Ethnic Engineers in the UK. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.